So, hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. And yet again, I am even more tired. I really am looking forward to the fact that tomorrow it's gonna be one last day of working, and then I'm having a day off, then a day of work, and then 2 days off of working, and actually coming something pretty cool coming up, which I am looking forward to and I appreciate, and I know that it is gonna be just doing me extremely good. Even though this month in general I've been really, really, really fortunate in terms of my co-workers. Somebody that I actually know, working with me and have known before actually, which is cool, which is amazing, and quite interesting. Like, I appreciate that, and it's making my day way, 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 way better. Something that I've seen my whole entire life long, that you know it really depends on whom you're working with. Really, really, really does matter. If it is somebody that you know and somebody that that you're friends with and stuff like that, like, it is gonna make things way better and way easier, and time is gonna pass way quicker. Even if, and yeah, I have to admit that today's day wasn't too overwhelmingly well too overwhelmingly effort this or something. Anyway, we're gonna go through the stoicism subreddit because I have seen two relatively interesting things, and I am really looking forward to the comments that I'm gonna see there. And I don't know, maybe I'm also gonna talk about some things that are bothering me at the time. And yeah, whatever happens to you has been waiting to happen since the beginning of time. Marcus Aurelius. This quote, it just makes me feel more peaceful for some reason. The feeling of life happens for you and not to you. How would you guys interpret this quote? Except from Meditations 10.5, please include citations for quote posts in the future. It brings me peace too. It was nice reading that today, so thanks for posting. Like, what's meant to happen will happen, so don't worry. It reminds me to stop trying to control life. Well, I, gotta have to admit that, yeah, it really makes one feel peaceful and not that stressed out, and not that serious about life as well. Like, one can really be overly, overly, overly serious about life, which, well, I don't know. It feels not good, even though it makes sense, since, I mean, it is life, isn't it? On the other hand, I do often feel like that certain things have come for a reason and are there for a reason and are happening to me for a reason, and this is just how things should be. And also in terms of studying something, I am really not quite sure what I'm willing to study in the future, or this fall, quite. But I don't know, like, to some degree, in terms of some tests that I had to take and whatnot, I thought, well, if I'm not gonna just, you know, if I'm unable to pass the test, then it just shouldn't have happened. This is what I'm not meant to be doing, and that's it. Like, I'm not taking things too seriously. Maybe this is just me due to not really having a wish for what I really want to do and stuff like that, and just searching for certain things. But yeah, I do often feel like, well, this is just my faith. This is just what needed to happen, and so on and so forth. This actually makes me really sad. Basically, there's no use in trying to control my own life. What in my life is spiraling into chaos is just inevitable. Am I just to suffer indefinitely? Why not just end it now then? No stone can be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Which is a quote by Seneca as an answer to this comment. We cannot control what happens to us, what someone says about us, what the president tweets, what the weather is like. What we can do is control how we react to these things, not looking at things Not looking at things as obstacles, but as opportunities and challenges for personal growth. Your choices matter. You decide what you eat in the morning, what jobs you pursue, and who you associate with, where you go, etc. But there are many external factors that are fated to happen, such as the weather, natural disasters, etc. We must prepare ourselves for these things mentally. Man is not affected by events, but by the view he takes of them, by Epictetus. Yeah, I really think that this is a great answer to this. Like, okay, if everything is meant to be bad for me for whatever the fuck reason, why, what is the point of life then? I think a really good answer or question or whatever comment, but in the end, we choose. We choose how to react to things, and I do like to give quite drastic examples for that. I mean, well, when somebody dies, some beloved one, if this person dies, then of course, you're gonna be grieving. Of course, you're not gonna be happy at all. But in the end, it is still our decision how we react to these events, in life. And even if it might sound kind of like cold-hearted and so on, but we still decide, we really do. And we can make something good out of a really, really, really bad and fucked up situation that we're finding ourselves in. And that's important to understand, it's important to know, and that is important to not forget about. Things are just what they are, but in the end we decide how to think about them and how we kind of what story we are telling ourselves and what story we are talking about and what story is in our head. And there's actually a pretty fucked up story in my head when it comes to leisure and working and boredom. I have the feeling of always having to do something, and when I'm not doing something, and this is, by the way, something that I am quite afraid of for not tomorrow, but the next day. So today's Tuesday, for Thursday. Thursday is going to be my day off, and I'm looking forward to it just because I really don't like work, which by the way is also a story that I'm telling myself, but that's something else. But the thing is, I'm a bit worried that this day is gonna be shit, even though I really am looking forward to it as an opportunity to just rest, and enjoy myself a bit at least, and try to lower my stress levels and have a nice day. But quite often in the past, I then just haven't had a good day. Also looking forward to some events with friends and stuff and whatnot. I've, thought, okay, this is going to be one of the most amazing weekends. It's just going to be cool. But then it happened and I really wasn't happy, basically actually also ending up quite depressed afterwards, which, it's now thinking about it, like, why? But I don't know, like, I can understand myself. But this is a problem with the story, story that one tells him or herself. It, in the end, is up to you how things are made up in your mind and, how you think about things. Anyway. Man is not affected by events, but by the view he takes of them. This is so huge and goes so counter to what most cultural narratives claim these days. You are a victim, everyone is a victim, and you can stay a victim for as long as you want, but you're only hurting yourself. Just as you said, when you come to a challenge, see what you can learn from it, learn your lesson and move on. Move beyond placing blame and feeling sorry for yourself. Only then can you face the harsh reality that much of your suffering is self-induced. Very well said. I believe it was Epictetus who said, to blame others for your troubles is a sign of a want of education. To blame oneself is a sign education has begun. To blame no one is a sign one's education is complete. This is a really good one. Now if this was said in a drastic situation, such as someone being assaulted, then I feel as though this would receive backlash. That is so unfortunate, since what he said is painfully true. The other day I lied to my mom and she found out. It was a little lie, but nonetheless, I lied. She was upset about it, but I felt no remorse, and it really hit me how I was the one who could influence my emotions. Thank you for commenting this. I'm going through a situation that I cannot do a damn thing about, and your comment made me feel peace. More in regards to the unexpected, you're still responsible for your actions. Yeah, of course, obviously, there are just some things that you can't change. Can't do something about, If you have cancer, well, maybe you could have kind of prevented yourself from getting it. You could have, It's not a should. It's not like 100% chance that you could have done something about it. Really, no. It is what it is. But some things are just meant to be the way they are. One could also just say that about past events, things that have happened to you. For example, me and my breakup. And I know that I often talk about that shit, and I'm kind of, well, I don't like it too much, but I think it is a great example. I mean, with the knowledge that I had back then, and I know now that I could have maybe done a better decision. Maybe, who knows what would have happened. But yeah, it is what it is. And maybe it is just what things were meant to be like. Maybe me sitting now, doing what I'm doing now, and so on and so forth. Maybe this is just what things have were meant to be. Yeah, anyway. Think of it the other way. What if your life is going to be awesome and there is no way for you to fail? No mistake you have ever done is because of you, and every mistake you might make in the future was bound to happen. It gives you this immense freedom of serenity, of having no responsibility. The universe is ultimately neutral in itself. There is no case where these verdicts go only one way, as in only suffering or only serenity. Yeah, I would say so as well, like there's always going to be a balance. By the way, also one of the things, maybe reasons why I believe in karma. Like, when I'm doing some shitty thing, well, in some way it is probably gonna backlash. Regardless, even if determinism, philosophy that spread these ideas, is true, it shouldn't really have an impact on your life, as you would have done the same things even if you didn't know about it. So you might as well feel like your successes are your work, while mistakes are coincidences. Learn from your mistakes, but do not feel bad about them for the sake of feeling bad. Really similar to stoicism in that regard. Enjoy the good things while not dwelling on the bad. Watch yourself. Have a good day. Love this. Well, I don't know. I feel like that reading more philosophy and reading more about philosophy could help me in so many ways, and so much with things that are bothering me in general, which are, kind of 99% due to the story that I'm telling myself about these things. For example, the boredom thing. I hate boredom, and I hate the feeling of not having something to do, and, well, at least not having something smart to do. But, even if, sometimes and sometimes not, I kind of do not do the things that I should be doing. But this is just about the story that I'm telling myself, and the story that is in my head. Well, and there is another one, very, very interesting one. What doesn't transmit light creates its own darkness. Marcus Aurelius Meditations 7,57. 57. Complete passage. We speak on the sun's light as pouring down on us, as pouring over us in all directions. Yet it's never poured out, because it doesn't really pour. It extends. It beams, in brackets, acti, get their name from the extension ectainistai or something. To see the nature of a sunbeam, look at light as it falls through a narrow opening into a dark room. It extends in a straight line, striking any solid object that stands in its way and blocks the space beyond it. There it remains, no vanishing or falling away. That is what the outpouring, the diffusion of thought should be like, not emptied out but extended, and not striking at obstacles with fury and violence, or falling away before them, but holding its ground and illuminating what receives it. So, what doesn't transmit light creates its own darkness. The first part is, think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. Which, by the way, is Marcus Aurelius Meditations 756. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Those things are gone. Imaginary, speculative. Life, as in the story of a given span of one human life, quote unquote, is exactly that, a story. Aurelius is telling us here to kill that story. Be dead, presently. Without the story, there is nothing left but to respond to the present's calling, always with a clean slate, always free from the weight of the remembered past and imagined future. There is a vibrancy to present action when it is free from that past. From that past. I think this is why the quote continues, what doesn't transmit light creates its own darkness. Marcus compares thought or strength of mind to light spreading out from the sun. Instead of emptying out or depriving yourself of thought, you should gently extend it. And when you thought light, in brackets light, comes into contact with a disturbance, non-transmitting object, do not fight it, but also do not fade away. I like to compare light to a river that flows from its source as a stream until it reaches the ocean, not emptied out but extended. A river is at its source and its mouth at the same time. What doesn't transmit light creates its own darkness. The last sentence can mean that you should not be like an object that blocks out sunlight. If you block the space behind yourself, you cast a shadow and therefore create darkness. Now think of light as a virtue or as living in accordance with nature, and think of darkness as a vice. And with that being said, I'm willing to end the episode. So, bye-bye.